Good morning, good morning. It is Monday, 13th of July, and it is time for another Burnout at Breakfast. But you will have noticed, or you will have seen that this week it is a little bit later. So rather than doing a solo episode this morning at 8 a.m, I am joined this morning by a fabulous guest. And we are going to be talking about burnout and moral injury. And we're going to be talking about legacy and amazing work. And so this morning, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by a guest that has been with me in the Burnout Academy for quite a while now. And what I wanted to be able to do over some of these kind of guest sessions, if you like, have some guests in conversation, was I wanted to be able to showcase some of the amazing founding members that joined me in the Burnout Coach Collective. So not everybody will have trained to do the 2-day. Not everybody will have joined me as a master burnout coach. But the founding members are just basically said, right, we want to get involved with the collective. We want to be part of this mission. We want to create some change. And so what I really wanted to be able to do was showcase them and their work and why they kind of, are, I suppose, involved in this burnout space, what it is that they're doing and not doing, why they're passionate about it, all of those things. So this morning, I am joined by the gorgeous, incredible Pauline Stewart. Pauline, good morning. It's lovely to see you. So Pauline and I are joining you across LinkedIn and YouTube. So Pauline, I'm going to leave you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll get into your story and why this whole kind of burnout piece is really important to you.
Okay, morning everyone. For those of you that do know me, you'll know that I've been around the leadership world for quite some time. Working on emotional intelligence. I've worked with the most amazing people, and I've worked with the most amazing organizations. But now I'm sort of bringing that to life around the work that I have been doing with Kelly since meeting her.
Oh, I love that. And why is this important to you, Pauline? Why is the burnout stuff important to you?
It's important because, first of all, Kelly, when I stumbled, if you like, online across a post about you, it wasn't your post, it was somebody reposting. I had left an organisation and I was in a pretty poor state. And many of us that are in the Burnout Academy know exactly what I'm talking about. Similar stories, but all different. And the moral injury for me was quite severe. Didn't know anything about moral injury at that time. The world that I had lived in, listen, I was quite a superpower, nothing could happen to me. And there we are. We're all saying that. And I just didn't realise after 2 years what a pickle I was in. And I became quite ill. I'm still ill. And like you all know this story, Kelly, I will never be able to get over the illnesses that I now have, but I'll be able to manage them. So I remain positive and in the upright position. So I just want to make that clear. But what actually happened when I stumbled across you, it was a wonderful little post. It was about you pushing back on somebody that had asked you to be a keynote, but then asked you to tone down. I don't know if you remember this. Tone down how you talked about things and tone down how you dressed, because there was this beautiful, vibrant person. And I think you probably didn't go and do that keynote for this organization. And I kind of like that. I thought, this is my kind of woman. But I was then in myself just a little bit in recovery. I'd left the organization that had made sort of impacted on me, if you like, and got me to crumble. So here I was, having left in the July, now September, and I'm doing a little bit of reading on things. I'm still not knowing what burnout is. Of course I've heard the word. It wasn't my first rodeo. I knew this stuff, of course I did. I've been a coach for many years. I've delivered some amazing programs, training interventions. And then I started to look at you because you had attracted my attention, but not even with the burnout work. And I was fascinated by your work, your title. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh my gosh, the missing piece of the jigsaw, where I had cried numerous Sundays. And I know there's a lot of people out there would know this story. I masked that for a long time, never showed it to anybody apart from my family. I thought I was going crazy. And this wonderful piece of the missing jigsaw, and before I knew where I was at, your book had been released, your second book. I've got it here. Everybody. I don't know if you can see that, probably not on the camera, but it's F-U-C-K, Burnout. Yes, 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 indeed. And like many people, I thought you'd written the book about me. And it's your own journey and your own story, Kelly. And I became fascinated, but not fascinated in wanting to think I would add it to a coaching position that I did, but to find out more about how I could repair and possibly start the recovery. Now, 2 years in, yes, the next thing that you put up was this wonderful offer. Come along to the Burnout Academy. I'd had brilliant coaches. Let me tell you, 2 of the best for me. They'll know who they are. Don't need to mention them. They'll know who they are. And I thought, I'm going to sign up for this. It was a really big step because, one, remember, I was vulnerable. I'd lost my confidence quite a bit. Didn't know if I'd got it in me anymore. And thank goodness I'd kept my Inspirati organisation, even when I went to work on this bucket list job that I was so excited about getting. So I kind of thought, right, I'll do this through Inspirati. Let's see where it takes me, or I might just take an early retirement. And I joined your program. And the 2-day Burnout Academy for me, and I can say this, and Kelly, we've spoken about it before, and I know lots of people say this. For those that know me will know I'm not sycophantic. For those that don't, if anyone's listening, please know I'm not sycophantic. I have to tell you, your work, the way that you teach, and I put that at the time, the way that you teach, I think I'm pretty blooming good, but oh my God, Kelly, you hit everything for me. I was safe. I was cared for. I enjoyed it. I wanted to go for it. And all of a sudden, my new lease of life came. A lot of work to do, still doing it. 2 years on, I'm still doing it. But let me tell you, I truly believe that you saved my mental life. And had I not bumped into you, and it was obviously meant to be, I would not be able to do the work that I'm doing at the moment to help other people in this position. First of all, it was about me. Let's find out about this. So I started the research. Long, long way to go. Oh my gosh, Kelly, you've taken years to get to this stage. I'm obviously going to take years. It might be 100 by the time I'm finished, but listen, that's all right, because it's fascinating and it's so important that we get it right. My lived experience adds a little bit of something for me to understand me, but it doesn't mean anybody else's lived experience is the same as mine. And so the next thing you presented to me was get your accreditation. And I took that with open arms. And here we are today. I'm a founding member, part of the collective, part of the Burnout Academy. And I am now working with clients doing some of this work that, my job now is to wrap my leadership work, my emotional intelligence around the work that I've learned in the Burnout Academy and with your skill, mentoring and support and coaching and guidance to ensure they are burnout informed. That's where I want them to be. If you've got this information under your belt, had I known about burnout properly, and it wasn't about going and taking a couple of weeks break on holiday and then coming back refreshed, which it so isn't, learning about that chronic stress, those deep things, if I can get people to understand before they get to burnout, wow, won't that be something that within the Burnout Academy, many of us are trying to do and achieve that success. So that's where I'm at the moment, Kelly.
Amazing. Thank you. I kind of feel like I should be paying you for all of that. All of that stuff. I wasn't expecting it to be as much about me in the academy as it was you. So I'm gonna say thank you very much. And I think, and you'll know this anyway, but I think I wasn't expecting to get emotional this morning, but you'll know I've had some pretty crappy news again over the last week. And like you said, right, for me, this is about making the difference for others and ensuring that nobody else has to go through what it is that we went through. And actually, when I started the academy, I was just like, I was getting loads of coaches in my DMs that were just kind of like, I think I've got this client burnout. Can you tell, like, basically, can you just tell me what to do, right? Can you just give me all this information and just tell me what to do? And I thought there's not an ethical piece in that. If I'm just giving you the answers to your clients, right, there's just not an ethical piece in that, right? Because I don't know if it's burnout. I don't know your client. Could I give you a ton of questions to ask him? Yes, I could. But actually, is that going to help? Is that going to make a difference? Is that going to add any value? Is that going to make your client even worse, right? So I kind of had all of those questions around. And I think, you know, when I started the academy, I just wanted more ripples. I just wanted coaches to stop, I suppose, stop adding to burnout is kind of really where I kind of started it. I wasn't expecting the level of ripple effect, and I wasn't expecting the level of impact, and I wasn't expecting as many of you to even like get as much get as much from it as what you did, right? It's 2 days online, right? It's 2 days online. First day is all about burnout. Second day is how we implement it. But so many of you actually have said what a difference it's made to you personally and in your work. And I don't think I was expecting any of that, because I just kind of thought you'll get a bit more information about burnout and we can raise your awareness. But I think to hear that, and I know you mean that genuinely. I know you sent me some lovely messages and stuff before, but I think like that is so much more than I could have expected from it. And to hear the difference that it's making, and ultimately, right, we want to stop people like you and I living with the long-term impact of it, right? If we've got to be living with long-term, lifelong health conditions as a result of burnout, ultimately anything that we can do to stop that is, for anybody else, right, is a bonus, right? It's absolutely a bonus. So I'm going to come to you in a minute about your legacy. So thank you. As I said, I wasn't expecting to get emotional, but I was like, I'm fine. I've done all of my stuff. And then, thank you. So that means a lot, Pauline. Thank you. Jenny's popped a comment in for us as well. Bless her. Good morning, Jenny. She said, love hearing the impact of this work. This collective is a special place. So thank you, Jenny. That's lovely as well. Again, I wasn't doing this to like plug the academy, right? This is supposed to be about you and what you're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share in the comments as well. Pauline has, in addition to this kind of showcase piece, Pauline has written a guest feature, right? A guest blog. I've posted the wrong link. Hang on a minute. And then I'm going to come to you, Pauline. I want to talk to you a bit more about this legacy piece that you talked about. Let me get the right comment up for you, because actually what I've shared is the link to this StreamYard. And if any of you are watching this, you'll be seeing it, won't you? So let me sort myself out. Pauline, whilst I'm doing this though, talk to us about legacies. So you've said, I think in your blog piece, but also, you know, I know this is you're passionate about this. I know you and I have spoken about this kind of many times before as well. So when you talk about this legacy piece, right, why is that important to you?
Okay, right. Well, the legacy piece. So once I started getting into this work, now I've always been a bit this way inclined, Kelly. But I belong to a women and business network group, and I don't mind giving them a shout out because they've been tremendous support, tremendous
Go for
group,
it. Shout
over in Milton Keynes, Babs. Yeah, Babs Moore. So I'm giving you a shout out there, Babs. And wonderful group of professional women. Now, I have to say everyone's younger than me, Kelly. So, and that's all right. I kind of love that. And what I actually I've been around the women agenda.
I'm going to interrupt you there, Pauline. Pauline talks a lot about age, right? And I will still say this woman will kick ass with anybody and is still like the energy that she brings to any conversation, as I'm hoping you're getting from this morning's conversation anyway. But the energy that this woman brings to a room, in addition to the wisdom and the knowledge and the information that she's got. So Pauline will kind of always be like, well, you know, because I'm older. Like, I don't care. We're going to say wiser and more wonderful, Pauline, is what we're going
Absolutely. For. And I do go out as a wisdom person. So, you know, so I'm totally okay with it. But these wonderful women that I've met. Now, I've always been around the women agenda ever since I worked in public service, back in the police service years and years and years ago, we're talking donkey's years, Kelly, before I set up my own business. And I've always been around the female agenda. And guys, if there's any guys listening, of course I work with guys as well. I love working with guys, 2 wonderful sons and a daughter. I love working with all sorts, but I do have a bit of a passion towards the women agenda and for other things within my portfolio. But the legacy, I'm in a great place in my life. And I noticed that more and more people cannot afford, or their companies say they cannot afford, for them to have the necessary coaching that they know that they want. And neither do they want to put their head above the parapet and say, do you know something? I think I'm heading towards too much overwhelm and I'd like to work with Pauline. And then, you know, you get those organizations. Kelly, you'll have seen them. I get it, you know. Where is this? Where is that? What can you do for this person? You know, yeah, and all those kind of things that almost put a block on why they don't want you to work with that individual. Very often, probably because you're going to help them transition out and move on if the place is toxic. Of course we are. And no apology for that. So I kind of thought about it. Now, I value myself and I've always valued myself. And I have a set of values that I live by. So that's how that moral injury starts, isn't it, Kelly? You know, when those are impacted. And before we know it, we think, oh, we've lost that standard of our life. And that's how we get into part of this journey. So I kind of got to a place where part of my legacy is to make things affordable for my coaching. And it's not because I don't value myself. And the people that I work with are not taking the mickey. They're not saying, oh, I can afford that with Pauline, but then they're doing this. So I know that they truly, because some of them are paying out of their own pockets. So I want to make that legacy so I can help any person that I can to make sure that they do not get to a place where you and I and some others will always have to manage the debilitating symptoms of what we have to live with for the rest of our life, and be on guard. Because as you know, Kelly, another bout of this, I think I probably, after joining the dots and looking back on my life, due to where I am in my career and where I've evolved over the years, I think I probably embarked on this probably near once, probably 3 times, with this final one leaving me with these, if you like, disease that I cannot get rid of. I've just got to learn to manage it, and it is debilitating. And as you know, the last 2.5 weeks I have been knocked off my feet again because I have no immune system, and so I'm open to everything that comes along. And so I'll have a good day today and the makeup's on and we're having fun, and then another day I just might not be able to do very much at all. And so, you know, this is what we must. So my legacy is to make sure that joining in, I don't think it's a ripple effect you've got going anymore, Kelly. I think we're starting to bring in a tidal wave, and we better stand by for that, because, you know, people are going to be pretty mad with us in some organisations, I think. And we, both of you and I, have voices, as many of our colleagues do. But my legacy is to make sure that if I can hit so many people, particularly women, from while they're building their businesses, while they are building in their role to where they want to get to, that they do not suffer what you and I have suffered, and to give them, if you like, a way to understand how to manage that and not let their values slip away from them. And there are ways to do it, but it's slowly and gently, particularly if we're in overwhelm.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think I do think, you know, what you're doing is, and the way in which you're doing it is wonderful. And I think, so shall we maybe explore a little bit more? I'm just going to pop your website details in here as well, Pauline, so that everybody, if you are not connected to Pauline or you want to have a look at what she's doing, go and have a look at Pauline's website. I'm going to pop her LinkedIn profile in the comments for you as well. So if you're not connected with Pauline, do go and have a look at the stuff that she's doing. Pauline, you do quite a lot in your kind of local community, don't you? But you don't just work with people locally.
No, I don't. I am I'm a trustee for an organisation called Widows' Rights International, and these are some of the things that I like to get involved in. Again, it's around the women's kind of world. I've been a philanthropist in working with a wonderful charity called Evolve, along with my dear wonderful friend Viviane, locally under the BLCF umbrella, Bedfordshire and Luton Community Foundation. The Widows' Rights International, there are some wonderful ladies I work with, and I say our powerhouses, dynamic, and do the most amazing stuff. And we go to the UN and they deliver on what the needs are around the world, for particularly for Widows' Rights International, and those women that are in countries where they are not supported when they become widows and their husbands died, or very often being put outside of their tribe to live on the streets and not looked after, and having to take their girl children with them. So there's some really good work around that that I'm involved in. I'm also an associate committee member for the National Council of Women. That's really important to me too. They do some amazing things, you know. They're often at the House, you know, in London. They're often with government doing some great things to make sure, you know, we're ending domestic violence, all that great stuff. And these women are phenomenal, and I can't wait to get my strength back to a place where I can join them or get abroad to be in the right places like I used to many years ago, to get to those places to support them again. But in my small way, I'm still continuing to support those causes because they're very dear to me and they're important. You know, I've always had a voice. I'm about justice, probably where I never climbed the ladder, actually, I think. Kelly, because I've always had a voice. I've been known to be a whistleblower. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it, which is why when the impact of me and this superwoman fell I didn't quite know who I was for a little while. But yes, I do lots of other things in the community, and we very often host an International Women's Day that is community based around Bedfordshire. We love it. In fact, we've just had our first meeting along with some other wonderful ladies in Bedfordshire. And I'm going to give a shout out to Paula Devine from the Bedfordshire Chamber of Commerce. And we're already starting to talk about next year's International Women's Day. So we hit the spot, we get the magic right, and those things are important. So being a bit community based, I like that as well. And I'm here for people. Very often I find in my world of work, Kelly, you'll have done this too, from years ago when you were coaching, long before you got into burnout. There are those people you connect with that then become like a business friend, and they kind of stay with you. And every so many years they pop up and go, I could just do with a Pauline coffee. Are you around? You know, so so brilliant. So those are the things that I do. Yeah, I like the part of philanthropy. I like to give back where I can. I like to support people that, you know, need real support, and as much as I can give at the moment, which is a little tamed at the moment, Kelly, for all the right reasons, because I need to get my health in a good place to be able to do those things, probably a bit differently than I've ever done before.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. I'm just going to quickly come back to our comments. So Sarah has said that she has just read your blog and that your description is so palpable. Sarah, thank you for that. Jenny said again she loves the tidal wave. So let's see how big we can get this tidal wave. Okay, and then we've had another comment in here about reaching employees who don't recognise they're experiencing burnout. I think what we'll do for that one is you'll probably find lots and lots about that on my YouTube channel anyway. But I would also, it hasn't come up with your name. It just says LinkedIn user. I hate it when it does that because it makes it much less personal. But for that one, we can, I'll bring that to next week's live. But if you do go and take a look at my YouTube channel, where you'll find some videos to answer that question for you already. Pauline, from your perspective, how do you think you have changed your focus on you, because we've mentioned moral injury a lot throughout today's discussion, right? And clearly you do, like everything that you do, right, is about really supporting others, right? It's about that growth, it's about that development, it's about making it accessible, it's about support, it's genuinely everything that you do. I'm sure, like, you know, if we cut you in half like a stick of rock, right, I think that kind of being of service, kind of giving to others, putting others first, is very, very obvious and very, very clear that is just a huge part of who you are. In terms now, I suppose, then of the impact that burnout has had, what do you think you have had to change for yourself to ensure that you also, not even just also, right, but to make sure that you're now top of that pile, and top of that pile for you, and also top of that pile so that you can then be there for your kids, be there for the other people that you want to support? What do you think has been the biggest change for you to put the focus on you?
I think one of the biggest changes, Kelly, I know you know this well because you actually taught it to me, non-negotiable. And, you know, when I was a young mum, a bit like you, Kelly, young mum, I was a young mum at 20. And, you know, you get on, you do the work, you do what you got to do. You never think this day will come, do you? You know, you don't think those children will be this age that quick. And all of a sudden, there you are. And I know you've got 2 grown-up boys now. And I remember working so hard that, you know, my ex-life, if you like, my ex-husband did a lot of the, if you like, the caring, the taking the kids out while I was working. And when I got into this, I kind of really realized that I had often put work at the forefront. I suppose, one, you're trying to make a buck, aren't you? You're trying to make a buck. You're trying to get your brand reputation out there, your identity. You know, my work identity was important to me. And oh my gosh, Kelly, never to let anybody down, even at the expense of my family. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people, mums and dads, that understand that. I'm not saying it's right, but can understand it. And when I got to a certain place, I've now got the grandchildren, and the grandchildren are very important to me. So this is my second chance. This is my second chance to go around. And I quickly realized that if I kept doing the things the same way as I'd always done, one, I'm going to burn out again. And I don't think I'd probably survive it this time, if I'm honest. And that's not melodramatic. I think it's just a fact of life. But that actually, I want to enjoy my life, and I want to enjoy my life in this moment, because tomorrow is not promised. And therefore, the memories that I need to create, first of all, with my children now, who I adore, all 3 of them, and my grandchildren that I adore, they are the foremost, and they are the most important, along with my husband, who's been my rock, I have to say. And we together, we've spoken about things. This was a shared vision, everybody knowing what I wanted to do, but also as little reminders that, you know, Mum, you need to just slow down a bit or think about something. And interestingly, I've got one of these wonderful, don't know if you can see this, but it's a wonderful desk name card. And it said, Mum needs 5 minutes. And, you know, I have that on my desk, which is great. So my non-negotiable is Friday. Let me tell you, before I'd met you, Kelly, somebody said, Pauline, I'm desperate. Can we do a coaching session on the Friday? My time for my grandchildren or with my bestie. I would have probably said, let me slip you in. And we know how that works, don't we, Kelly? We know how that works. And then afterwards, I better do a bit of follow-up, get there, all the details in. And before you know where you are, half a day's gone. So I just say, no, it's my non-negotiable day. I also say to other people, which I now teach to myself, if something happens, you can't keep your session. No rush, no urgency. It's real life. I won't be sweating it. You don't sweat it. And for me, that's where I'm at. Do I still get occasionally anxious? Of course I do. This getting past where I have been and Kelly, I know you actually say this, I don't think this is a 2-year fix for me. I think it possibly take me about 5 years. It may take even longer. I kind of, for me, my part for me is to keep on learning. So even when I do get to that day of retirement, perhaps in a couple of years, maybe not, who knows, I'm going to stick with Burnout Academy, because I think if I can pass that down to my children and my grandchildren and keep learning for me, what a wonderful place to be in. But I now know how many hours I can work in a day. And one of the hardest things for me, Kelly, I'm not sure if you will have had this a little bit as well. This is still quite early days for me. And in the past 2.5 weeks, as you know, I've been pretty poorly. And I needed to cancel down, postpone. Got some coaching sessions, some commitments, drink out with somebody. Oh my gosh, caused me anxiety, because I'm good at letting people down. But I did it. And everybody, of course they do. They come back and they understand. So I've kind of brought the mask down a bit now. I've always been a very private individual, very hard to bring that mask down. But I've always said I'm truly transparent, and I am for many, many things. But now I'm actually saying to people, I don't want to keep going on about my health. I'm not upset about it. I'm not laying in a heap in the corner. But today is not my day to work with anybody. One, because I won't bring my best self to the party, but I don't have it in me. And so I'm being quite honest about it, but I'm explaining it's as a result of where I've been through burnout. And, you know, we have to probably, for me, I'm choosing to declare it so that people see the seriousness of the work that we're trying to do. And I think that's important. And if I can't fly the flag to say, listen, guys, I'm here. I'm always going to be here for you for as long as I can be. But there are just some days I'm out of action. I think that's fair.
Amazing. And I'm very pleased to hear that you're putting yourself first. And again, like you said there, right? And I think I used to be the same. Like, I would never cancel anything. I would never want to let anybody down. But as you've just there said, right, we cannot keep, if we're not 100%, we can show up for a coaching session, right? But if we know we've only got 20% in the tank, we can't give the best to our clients anyway. And actually they deserve like full us, right? That can show up in those sessions and do what it is that we need to do. So I'm very pleased to hear that you've got those non-negotiables in place, Pauline. Again, that makes me very, very happy. I'm conscious of time. I just want to ask you kind of one final question. Again, for anybody watching, if you're not already, take a look in the comments. You'll find Pauline's website, her LinkedIn profile, and the blog, guest blog as well that she's done. So go take a read of those and do connect there. I just want one final kind of question. What do you think you would, I don't know, if it's a word of advice, a hint, a tip, what would you share for anybody? Kind of final thought for anybody who is maybe on the brink of burnout, right? They know, and again, this is an interesting thing, right? Because for a lot of us, when we're going into that first burnout, we have no idea we're going into that first burnout, right? We know something is not right, but we usually don't catch it before a first burnout. We don't catch it usually until we're kind of coming through the other side, do we? But if somebody has got that niggle, that feeling that it's just like something's not right, something needs to change, but as we know, the closer we get to burnout, we want to keep pushing, right? The neuroscience that tells us why we need to keep going, why we need to keep moving, why we need to keep pushing. If you had somebody, be it one of your clients that's maybe watching this, or just somebody, you know, somebody else, if they are, the niggle is telling them that something needs to change, what do you think? Again, hint, tip, advice, what would you say to them?
Right. I think what I would really say is, first of all, trust your gut. Because that part of the inside of your body, Kelly, you talk about this, and it's probably on another chat another day, but your neuroscience, something will tell you, you already know it's wrong. You already know it's not right. You knew when you went into that organization, something didn't feel right straight away. Or a couple of your colleagues weren't quite as friendly as you thought they might be, or supportive even. When you get that first part of something's not right, trust your gut instinct, and then start to look at yourself. And if you think, I'm starting to fret in this place, or I'm starting to fret in my own work, I'm trying to build my business, try to get some support straight away before it develops into a big sort of avalanche of overwhelm. Trust a partner or trust a confidant, or reach out to those people that you see around you. Please be careful with coaching. Coaching is important. And all coaches, you know, I'll give a shout out for all coaches. God, it's such a hard thing. But when we're going into talking about burnout, you need that accreditation. You need the specialism to deal with it. It changed for me from my coaching practice before. So please be mindful. But seek out somebody just to have a conversation with, you know, that part of emotional intelligence that tells you something is not right. Trust your gut and start to share with somebody either that's been in a similar situation, or go to someone specialized so that they can help you either move through, if it's appropriate to do so because you're in a really good organization, or to get a plan B to transition out, because I know mortgage payments and everything else matter, but do not let yourself get overwhelmed. You know, I'm not talking about good stress. Kelly, that's you again on another subject. But please, please try to trust your gut. It will not put you wrong. It's already working for you. Just don't think, no, that's silly. I'm being silly, because I think that's where I went wrong.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to those of you that have joined us this morning, that have watched, that have commented. Pauline, thank you just for a wonderful conversation. I knew we'd have a fabulous chat. You and I could keep talking about this literally until Christmas. So I'm grateful that we've been able to squeeze it in. I know we've got a little bit over, but I'm grateful that we've been able to squeeze it in just to 36 minutes, because we absolutely could have kept going. So Pauline, thank you very much for being fantastic. Again, for those of you watching, whether you've joined us live or whether you've watched on replay, do go and connect with Pauline, give her a follow. Her website details are in the comment as well. And do take a read of her blog and get a bit more of an understanding of kind of Pauline's, I suppose, Pauline's experience, right? And what it is that that makes this work important to her. But more importantly, I think for Pauline, this piece about legacy, what it is that Pauline is wanting to create and leave, and the difference that she wants to be able to make through this work. So thank you to everybody that's watched. Pauline, thank you very much again for being so fabulous. I'll probably see you on Thursday, shall I? In the collective.
Absolutely.
I'll see you on Thursday. So thanks ever so much, everybody, for joining. And we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Great chat.